Every man who desires power, prosperity, or peace must first conquer the battlefield within. You cannot demand victory from the world until you have demanded mastery over yourself. And the greatest mastery you will ever achieve is not over lands, fortunes, or nations, but over your own thoughts, impulses, and emotions. The world does not destroy most men. What destroys them is their inability to reflect before they react. Their tongues lash out before their minds have measured the consequences. Their tempers flare before their reason has had its say. Their fears dictate decisions that their vision should have guided. Reaction is the thief of destiny. Reflection is its guardian. Let me be plain. Wealth does not come to the man who is ruled by reaction, for his hands are too quick to clutch at shadows and his nerves too weak to endure the strain of patience. Power does not come to the man who is ruled by reaction, for his energy is squandered in petty quarrels and impulsive pursuits. Peace does not come to the man who is ruled by reaction, for his heart is forever disturbed by every passing event. All these blessings, wealth, power, peace, come only to the man who has learned to pause, to weigh, to deliberate, to act with calm certainty. The greatest victories of your life will not be won in the marketplace or on the battlefield, but in those hidden moments when you chose reflection over reaction. Look into history, and you will see the truth. Empires have been toppled, not because of armies stronger than their own, but because of leaders too quick to react and too slow to reflect. A careless treaty signed in haste, a war declared in anger, a betrayal overlooked in the blindness of pride, these were reactions, and they spelled ruin. By contrast, the empires that endured were led by men who could master their own inner storms. They took counsel not from anger but from reason, not from fear but from vision. They understood that reflection, though it delays the hand for a moment, strengthens it for eternity. You must understand that reaction is the voice of your lower self, while reflection is the command of your higher self. Reaction is the echo of your conditioning, your wounds, your pride, your fears. It is mechanical. It requires no intelligence. Anyone can react, and most men do. Reflection, however, is conscious. It interrupts the cycle of habit. It demands that you rise above instinct and consult the faculties of wisdom, imagination, and will. Reaction is animal. Reflection is divine. To react is to be ordinary. To reflect is to be extraordinary. But do not mistake reflection for hesitation or inaction. The man who reflects does not delay because he fears. He pauses because he chooses to act with accuracy. Reflection is not weakness. It is strength contained. It is the archer drawing back his bow with steady aim before he lets the arrow fly. The reactor hurls his arrow without aim, wasting his energy and missing his mark. The reflector strikes once, but with such precision that his bow resounds with power. In the pursuit of success, it is not the number of actions that matter, but the quality of each action. And quality is born of reflection. Think of your own life. How many words have you spoken in anger that you later regretted? How many decisions have you made in haste that cost you dearly? How many opportunities have you lost because you were too quick to doubt, too quick to fear, too quick to follow impulse? Each of those losses was the price you paid for reaction. And how many times, in contrast, did you pause, consider, choose with clarity, and later find that choice brought reward, respect, or relief? Those were the fruits of reflection. Learn from your own history. The evidence is there. Now, let me speak to you with urgency. If you cannot command yourself, you will never command your destiny. You cannot build a great business, a great fortune, or a great legacy if you are forever answering to anger, to fear, to impatience, to pride. These are poor masters, and they will lead you to ruin. You must become the master. You must learn to rule these impulses with the iron hand of reflection. Say to yourself each morning, I am not the servant of impulse. I am the master of choice. This affirmation, repeated and lived, will recondition your mind. To build this mastery, you must create the habit of pausing. In every situation, no matter how pressing, no matter how provoking, discipline yourself to pause. Take one breath before you speak. Take one moment before you act. In that pause lies your power. In that pause you seize freedom from the chains of conditioning. In that pause you allow reason to speak, vision to guide, wisdom to lead. The untrained man feels the urge to react and obeys it instantly. The trained man feels the same urge, but he places a guard at the gate of his mind and allows only reflection to pass. This is mastery. Let us not forget the importance of language in this discipline. Words are the most common form of reaction, and often the most destructive. The careless words spoken in anger, the cynical remark uttered in frustration, the boast shouted in pride, these words cut deeper than actions. They poison relationships, destroy reputations, and sabotage success. You must therefore discipline your tongue through reflection. Before you speak, ask, will these words advance my vision or betray it? Will they build or will they destroy? If the answer is not clear, remain silent. A wise silence is always superior to a foolish reaction. And what of decisions? A man's destiny is shaped not by the opportunities he faces, but by the choices he makes. Yet most choices are made in reaction, not reflection. The temptation of immediate gain leads to reckless ventures. The fear of loss leads to missed opportunities. The pride of proving oneself leads to ruinous risks. All these are reactions. But the man who reflects considers not only the moment, but the future. He sees beyond the glitter of immediate reward to the enduring value of long-term success. He asks, does this path align with my definite purpose? Does this decision strengthen my foundation? And by asking, he chooses wisely. To force yourself to reflect more and react less is to elevate yourself above the masses. Most men live in chains, shackled by their own impulses. They are like ships without rudders, tossed by every wind of circumstance. They wonder why their lives feel directionless, why success eludes them, why peace escapes them. The answer is simple. They have never learned to reflect. They live at the mercy of reaction. But you, if you take this discipline seriously, can rise above. You can become the captain of your ship, charting your own course, commanding your own winds. Do not think this mastery will come easily. It will not. Your old self will fight you. It will whisper, speak now, before they think you weak. It will shout, act now, before the chance is gone. It will stir your pride, your fear, your anger, to drive you into reaction. You must resist. You must impose the higher law of reflection. This is the daily battle, and it is fought within you. But every battle won strengthens you. Every pause taken, every word withheld, every reaction mastered, builds a fortress of discipline around your soul. And from that fortress, you will build wealth, power, and peace. Understand this eternal truth. Reflection is not delay, it is strategy. Reaction is not speed, it is slavery. The man who reflects acts with purpose. The man who reacts is acted upon. If you wish to live as a master, you must choose reflection. You must force yourself to it until it becomes habit, until it becomes instinct, until it becomes your very nature. When that day comes, you will no longer struggle against reaction. You will have transcended it. You will move through life with calm authority, unshaken by circumstance, unruled by impulse. And that is the beginning of true success. You must come to terms with a sobering fact. Most of the failures you have experienced were not the result of fate or of the hostility of others or of circumstances stacked against you. They were the direct fruit of your own ungoverned reactions. That decision made in anger. That careless commitment given without thought. That opportunity dismissed out of fear. That relationship poisoned by words you could not recall once spoken. Your life is a mirror that has been reflecting back not only your deliberate choices, but also your unguarded impulses. If you would alter the reflection, you must alter the source, and the source is your response to life. Reflection is deliberate choice. Reaction is reckless surrender. The difference between a successful man and a failure is often measured in the space of one breath, the pause to think before acting. Let us now examine how reflection shapes destiny in matters of wealth. For wealth is the arena where reaction proves most costly. The man who reacts to every rise and fall of the market, who panics when prices dip and grows reckless when they rise, will always remain a servant to fear and greed. He will buy when he should wait, sell when he should hold, and in his haste to capture profit, he will always be the one who loses it. Contrast him with the man who reflects. He does not move with the herd. He does not allow temporary storms to unsettle him. He pauses, studies, measures, and then acts with calm precision. Others call him lucky when his fortune grows, but it is not luck, it is reflection disciplined into habit. The same principle applies in human relationships. For the way you treat others either builds the bridge to your success or burns it behind you. The man who reacts in anger to criticism, who reacts in pride to counsel, who reacts in jealousy to another's success, closes doors that might have led him upward. Meanwhile, the man who reflects before answering, who listens when others speak, who measures his tone before uttering a word, builds trust, earns respect, and gains allies. Success in business, leadership, and influence flows from reflection, because reflection ensures that your actions are not dictated by temporary emotion, but by lasting vision. The leaders who reacted impulsively have been forgotten in history's dust. Those who reflected endure as symbols of greatness. Reflection must become not merely an occasional act, but a fixed discipline of your character. To achieve this, you must build daily habits that force your mind into reflection until it becomes your natural response. Begin by keeping a journal, not of events alone, but of your thoughts, your decisions, your emotions. Each evening, reflect upon your day. Ask yourself, where did I react when I should have reflected? What did I say that betrayed my higher vision? What choice did I make in haste? What would I have done differently if I had paused? This daily accounting will train your mind to pause tomorrow where you failed to pause today. Reflection grows stronger when exercised, just as muscles grow firm under resistance. Meditation, too, is a discipline of reflection. By sitting in stillness each day, you teach your mind to detach from the turbulence of reaction. Most men are afraid of silence because in silence their restless minds expose them. They crave distraction, noise, constant stimulation, because silence forces them to face themselves. But greatness is born in silence. The man who can sit alone, quietly reflecting, will act with more strength in public than the man who must always react to the world's noise. Train yourself to embrace stillness. 5 minutes each morning, then 10, then more. Let reflection become the foundation from which all your actions rise. Another powerful method is to delay every important decision by reflection. The world will pressure you to react, salesmen urging you to buy now, critics pushing you to defend yourself, opportunities screaming that they must be seized immediately. Resist this pressure. Create a rule for yourself. No important decision is made without reflection. Pause, even if only for an hour, to consider the consequences. In business, a single impulsive contract can chain you to years of regret. In life, a single impulsive promise can shackle you to burdens you were not meant to carry. Reflection is the armor that protects you from such traps. Now consider the emotional mastery reflection demands. Anger, fear, pride, jealousy, these are the fires that ignite reactions. If you do not master them, they will master you. Anger blinds reason. Fear paralyzes judgment. Pride deafens you to wisdom. Jealousy poisons your relationships. Reflection cools these fires. By pausing, you give space for anger to fade, for fear to dissolve, for pride to shrink, for jealousy to lose its grip. Reflection is not only the mastery of action, it is the mastery of emotion. The man who reflects is not cold or unfeeling. He is simply unmoved by the temporary storms of his lower nature. He acts from principle, not passion. Let us not forget that reflection is the seed of innovation. Reaction can only repeat the old, for it is bound to habit. Reflection, however, allows you to see differently, to combine ideas in new ways, to imagine possibilities beyond the obvious. Every great invention, every discovery, every breakthrough was born of reflection. Edison did not react to failure by quitting. He reflected, learned, and tried again until the light bulb burned. Henry Ford did not react to skepticism with despair. He reflected, refined, and built an industry that transformed the world. Reflection makes you a creator, while reaction makes you a slave to the creations of others. Perhaps the greatest gift of reflection is the power it gives you over time itself. The man who reacts is always behind, chasing after problems, scrambling to correct mistakes, running from one fire to the next. His life is consumed by urgency. But the man who reflects is ahead. He anticipates problems before they arise, prepares responses before they are demanded, creates opportunities before others see them. Reflection allows you to bend time in your favor, while reaction keeps you forever at its mercy. Now, let me speak directly to you. Do you not see how your entire future depends on this single mastery? You can have ambition without reflection, but ambition without reflection becomes recklessness. You can have intelligence without reflection, but intelligence without reflection becomes arrogance. You can have wealth without reflection, but wealth without reflection becomes ruin. Reflection is the stabilizing force, the balancing power, the inner compass that directs all your gifts toward constructive ends. Without it, everything you build will eventually collapse. With it, even humble beginnings can rise into empires. But I will not deceive you. Reflection requires courage. It is easier to react, for reaction demands nothing but instinct. Reflection demands that you face truth, even when truth is uncomfortable. It demands that you question your motives, examine your habits, challenge your assumptions. Many men would rather remain in the comfort of reaction than face the discomfort of reflection. That is why they remain ordinary. But you must choose differently. If you would be great, you must dare to pause, dare to think, dare to reflect. Let me leave you with this law. Every reaction costs you something, but every reflection rewards you. The cost of reaction may be small in the moment, a careless word, a hasty purchase, but multiplied over years, it becomes the story of wasted potential. The reward of reflection may seem small in the moment, a moment of silence, a careful answer, a delayed decision, but multiplied over years, it becomes the story of wisdom, wealth, and power. Success is not determined by chance, but by the consistent application of laws, and this is one of the greatest laws of all. Reflect more, react less. If you master this law, you will no longer be a prisoner of circumstance, a slave to impulse, or a victim of emotion. You will rise above the storm of life like a mountain, unmoved by winds, unshaken by waves. From this place of stillness, your vision will sharpen, your power will grow, and your success will be certain. That is the promise I make to you. Reflection is the path to mastery, and mastery is the path to destiny. There is a difference between living like a man who reacts and living like a man who reflects, and that difference will be the line that divides those who merely exist from those who conquer. If you would know why some men stumble at every obstacle while others walk as though the ground itself moves to support them, it is because the former are enslaved by reaction, while the latter have trained themselves in the mastery of reflection. Reaction is weakness disguised as action. Reflection is strength disciplined into wisdom. A reaction consumes your power, but reflection multiplies it. Understand this truth. Reaction is the tool of mediocrity. It belongs to the man who cannot govern himself. He lashes out when insulted, spends recklessly when tempted, quits quickly when discouraged. His life is dictated by the forces around him, not the forces within him. He is a puppet on the strings of circumstance. But the man who reflects is a king over himself. He governs his emotions, directs his actions, and bends circumstance to his will. He is not pulled by the tides, he controls the sail. He knows that reflection is not passivity, but preparation, and that stillness is not weakness, but the gathering of power. Pause now and think of your own life. How many regrets could have been prevented if you had paused to reflect before reacting? How many friendships could have been preserved if you had held your tongue? How many opportunities could have been seized if you had not been paralyzed by fear? Each of those moments was a test of whether you would react blindly or reflect wisely. Each failure is a reminder that without mastering reflection, success will forever slip from your grasp. Reflection is not only a habit, it is a philosophy of living. It teaches you to weigh the worth of every action before you commit to it. It teaches you that energy is precious, and every careless reaction is energy wasted. You must learn to conserve your strength for the battles that matter. A man who reacts to everything is like a soldier who fires at shadows. By the time the real enemy appears, his ammunition is gone. But the man who reflects does not waste his energy. He observes, studies, and when he strikes with precision. That is why his victories seem effortless. You must also recognize that reflection is not an escape from life, but a deeper engagement with it. Reaction keeps you on the surface, tossed about by waves. Reflection anchors you beneath the surface, where the waters are calm and steady. The reflective man sees not only what is happening, but why it is happening. Not only the event, but the principle behind the event. He gains wisdom because he is not distracted by the noise of the moment. This wisdom becomes his advantage in every sphere of life. In business, in leadership, in relationships. Others rush blindly. He moves deliberately, and therefore he advances. Let us examine the role of reflection in wealth building, for this is where the impatient, reactive man loses most often. He sees another man prosper and reacts with envy. He hears of an opportunity and reacts with greed. He encounters a setback and reacts with fear. His money moves in and out of his hands like water through a sieve. But the reflective man is patient. He studies markets. He examines patterns. He weighs risks. He does not react to losses with despair, nor to gains with arrogance. He reflects, then acts. Over time, his wealth compounds, not because of luck, but because reflection has shielded him from the ruin that swallows reactive men. The same principle governs leadership. A reactive leader is a danger to his followers. He promises what he cannot deliver, punishes when he should teach, panics when he should inspire. His followers lose trust, and his influence dissolves. But a reflective leader measures every word. He considers the consequences of his tone, the ripple effect of his decisions. He does not allow anger or ego to dictate his leadership. His people trust him because he is steady. They follow him because he reflects before he directs, and that steadiness becomes the foundation upon which great enterprises are built. Reflection is also the secret to mastery of self. You cannot master your environment, your wealth, or your destiny until you first master your own mind. Reaction is the symptom of an undisciplined mind. It jumps at every sound, flinches at every challenge, collapses at every insult. But reflection is the practice of mastery. It teaches you to observe your own thoughts, to separate what is useful from what is not, to direct your attention where it matters most. In this way, reflection cleanses the mind of clutter and fills it with clarity. The man who reflects becomes the master of his inner kingdom, and because of this, he soon becomes the master of his outer one as well. Now, let us consider how to cultivate reflection until it becomes instinct. It is not enough to agree with these words. You must train yourself daily. Begin by practicing the pause. Whenever emotion rises, anger, fear, excitement, pause before you act. Count to 10, breathe deeply, ask yourself, will this action serve my greater purpose? This simple pause is the birthplace of reflection. At first it will feel unnatural, for your habit is to react. But repetition will rewire your mind until reflection becomes as natural as breathing. Second, set aside time each day for deliberate reflection. 10 minutes in the morning, reviewing your goals. 10 minutes at night, reviewing your day. Write down where you succeeded in reflecting and where you failed. Record your lessons. Over time, these records will reveal patterns, triggers that cause you to react, situations that require greater vigilance. By reflecting upon your reflections, you will grow sharper, wiser, and more disciplined. Third, surround yourself with people who value reflection. The reactive man is influenced by the company of other reactive men, and soon his life becomes a constant storm. But the reflective man chooses his circle wisely. He seeks out the calm, the discipline, the thoughtful. He learns from their composure, and together they sharpen each other. Remember, your environment shapes your mind. If you wish to be reflective, immerse yourself in the company of those who practice reflection. Fourth, guard your inputs. Reaction is often the result of mental clutter. A mind saturated with noise cannot reflect. Limit your consumption of gossip, trivial entertainment, and useless chatter. Instead, feed your mind with principles, with knowledge, with wisdom. Read books that challenge you to think. Study the lives of men who mastered reflection. The quality of what you put into your mind determines the quality of reflection it produces. Now hear me clearly. Reflection is not inaction. Do not confuse the two. Inaction is paralysis, the coward's excuse for avoiding responsibility. Reflection is the preparation for decisive action. The reflective man is not slow, he is deliberate. When the moment to act arrives, he does not hesitate. His preparation makes his action swift and sure. It is the reactive man who hesitates, for his emotions cloud his judgment. The reflective man is clear, and clarity produces confidence. That is why his actions appear bold while others flounder in doubt. Consider also the spiritual dimension of reflection. In stillness, you open yourself to guidance higher than your own. You cannot hear the voice of wisdom in the noise of constant reaction. But in reflection, you tune your mind to the frequency of truth. Many of the world's greatest ideas, discoveries, and inspirations were born not in moments of frantic reaction, but in quiet reflection. Reflection aligns you with infinite intelligence, the universal source of ideas and opportunities. When you reflect, you become a receiver for the very forces that govern success. If you would like proof of this law, look at your own life. Recall the best decisions you have ever made. Were they made in haste, in reaction, in frenzy? Or were they made after thought, after silence, after reflection? You know the answer. The best of your life has come from reflection. The worst has come from reaction. Why then would you continue to trust reaction more than reflection? Why would you gamble your future on impulses that have already betrayed you? I tell you now, reflection is not optional if you would rise. It is essential. It is the root of wisdom, the shield against error, the foundation of wealth, the key to mastery, the ally of leaders, the teacher of innovators, the companion of builders. Reaction destroys kingdoms. Reflection builds empires. Reaction weakens men. Reflection makes them great. Reaction consumes. Reflection creates. So commit yourself today to a new law. I will reflect more and react less. I will govern my emotions, pause before I speak, measure before I act. I will make reflection my habit, my discipline, my philosophy. And in doing so, I will separate myself from the masses. I will elevate myself above mediocrity, and I will secure for myself a destiny of greatness. This is not theory, it is practice. And the practice begins now, in this very moment. You must decide. Will you continue to be a man of reaction, or will you become a man of reflection? That choice will determine not only the course of your success, but the very character of your life. And remember this final truth. The world does not reward reaction. It rewards mastery. Reflection is mastery. And mastery is the gateway to all riches, both seen and unseen. Man is not defeated by his enemies. He is defeated by his impulses. Every empire that collapsed, every leader who lost power, every dreamer who abandoned his dream did so not because the world was too strong, but because he could not master his reactions. The inability to reflect is the silent assassin of destiny. It does not strike loudly. It works subtly in the careless word, the rash decision, the wasted day. If you are to build a life that endures, you must strip reaction from its throne and replace it with reflection. Only then will you become master of yourself and, by extension, master of circumstances. Reflection is the art of putting time to work for you. The reactive man wastes time in haste. The reflective man converts time into wisdom. When others are rushing blindly, he pauses to observe, to measure, to calculate. He understands that a few moments of reflection can prevent years of regret. The impatient man says, "I don't have time to reflect." The wise man answers, "I don't have time not to reflect." Every setback, every mistake, every wasted opportunity in your life was the fruit of reaction. If you would multiply your future victories, you must multiply your reflections. Now let us take this law and apply it to three great arenas of life: wealth, relationships, and leadership. In the pursuit of wealth, reflection is the difference between riches gained and riches lost. The reactive man hears of an investment and rushes in. He sees others prospering and fears being left behind. Greed controls him, fear directs him, and sooner or later, he finds himself poorer than when he began. But the reflective man examines, he studies cycles, observes trends, weighs risks. He asks not, what do others think, but what do the facts prove? He resists the seduction of quick gain, for he knows that wealth built in haste often vanishes in haste. Reflection shields him from ruin. Over years his fortune grows, not by chance, but by discipline. That is why the man of reflection always overtakes the man of reaction. In relationships, reflection is the safeguard of harmony. The reactive man speaks before he thinks. He answers anger with anger, criticism with bitterness, rejection with vengeance. His words cut deeper than swords, and when the heat of the moment passes, he is left with wounds he inflicted upon himself. Friendships die, marriages collapse, partnerships dissolve, all because he lacked the strength to pause. But the reflective man governs his tongue. He asks himself, will this word heal or harm? Will this action build or break? He knows that relationships, once destroyed, are rarely repaired. By reflecting before speaking, he preserves trust, deepens love, strengthens bonds. He does not enslave himself to impulse, but makes impulse his servant. In leadership, reflection is the bedrock of authority. A reactive leader is like a ship tossed by the waves. His crew follows him into storms because he cannot steady himself. He makes promises without thought, policies without vision, decisions without foresight. His people lose confidence, and his leadership dissolves. But the reflective leader is unshaken. He does not answer panic with panic. He weighs options, considers consequences, consults principles. Because he reflects, his words carry weight. His people trust his steadiness, and his influence expands. True leadership is not noise, it is clarity. Reflection creates clarity, and clarity creates power. But reflection goes deeper still. It is not only the key to wealth, relationships, and leadership, it is the key to self-mastery. A man who cannot reflect cannot know himself. He lives on the surface of his own being, driven by appetites and fears he does not understand. He is like a king who has lost control of his own kingdom. But the reflective man descends into the depths of his own mind. He observes his desires, his habits, his weaknesses. He does not run from them, he studies them. He asks, why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? Does this belief serve me, or does it enslave me? Through reflection, he separates truth from illusion, strength from weakness, power from pretense. And in knowing himself, he gains the power to transform himself. Reflection also purifies ambition. The reactive man chases everything. One day he desires wealth, the next day fame, the next day comfort. His goals shift with the winds, and because he reacts to everything, he achieves nothing. But the reflective man examines his desires. He distinguishes between fleeting impulses and enduring purpose. He asks, what is worthy of my life? What goal, once achieved, will make the struggle worth it? Reflection distills his ambition until it becomes pure, focused, unstoppable. That is why he achieves what others only dream of. Understand this. Reflection is not natural. Your instinct is to react. That is why so few men succeed. Success belongs only to those who rise above instinct and train themselves in discipline. You must therefore create deliberate practices of reflection. Begin with silence. Spend time daily in quiet, away from noise, away from distraction. In silence you will begin to hear your own thoughts, and beyond them the whispers of wisdom that guide great men. Carry a journal. Record your thoughts, your mistakes, your lessons. Writing forces reflection. What you do not write, you will forget. What you write, you will remember. And what you reflect upon, you will master. Next, reflect before every major decision. Ask, what are the consequences? What principle governs this choice? Am I guided by reason or by emotion? If you discover that fear or greed is driving you, pause. Wait until clarity returns. Let reflection be the gatekeeper of your action. Do not let a single important choice pass without reflection. This practice alone can save you from ruin and lead you to greatness. Finally, reflect upon your failures, not with shame, but with hunger for growth. The reactive man denies his mistakes or blames others. He learns nothing, and so he repeats his errors. The reflective man studies his failures as carefully as his successes. He asks, what did I miss? What can I change? How can I use this lesson to rise higher? Reflection turns defeat into fuel. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone. Every failure becomes a teacher. That is why reflective men grow stronger with every setback, while reactive men grow weaker. Do not mistake me. Reflection is not the opposite of action. It is the foundation of action. The reactive man acts quickly, but fails often. The reflective man acts slowly, but succeeds consistently. Success is not measured by how fast you move, but by how well you move. Reflection ensures you move in the right direction. Action without reflection is chaos. Reflection without action is paralysis. The balance of the two creates mastery. Reflect deeply, then act decisively. That is the formula of greatness. Now consider the spiritual dimension of reflection. There is a higher intelligence that governs the universe, an infinite wisdom from which all truth flows. But you cannot tune into this wisdom if your mind is cluttered with constant reactions. Reflection clears the channel. In stillness, in silence, in thoughtful pause, you open yourself to inspiration, to intuition, to ideas greater than your own. The greatest inventions, the greatest philosophies, the greatest breakthroughs in history were born not in reaction, but in reflection. Men withdrew into silence, into solitude, into reflection, and from that stillness the world was changed. Ask yourself now, what is guiding your life, reaction or reflection? Look at your past, and you will see the answer. Where you acted in haste, you regret. Where you reflected, you prospered. This is proof enough. Do not deceive yourself any longer. Do not imagine that you can achieve greatness while living reactively. You must reprogram your mind, retrain your instincts, remake your habits until reflection becomes your default. Then, and only then, will you rise above the masses and walk the path of mastery. I tell you again, reaction is weakness, reflection is strength. Reaction is slavery, reflection is freedom. Reaction is noise, reflection is signal. Reaction is mediocrity, reflection is greatness. If you would build wealth, influence, mastery, destiny, make reflection your constant companion. Let it guide your words, shape your actions, refine your ambitions. Let it steady you when storms arise, and let it sharpen you when opportunities appear. The man who reflects more, reacts less, and acts wisely will inevitably rise, for the universe itself bends in favor of those who master themselves. This is the law, and like all laws of success, it is no respecter of persons. It does not care about your past, your background, your excuses. It rewards only those who obey it. Begin today. Reflect more. React less. Govern yourself, and you will soon govern your world. The greatest war ever fought is not waged on battlefields. It is fought within the mind of man. The struggle is constant. Reflection versus reaction. Reflection whispers of reason, patience, and long vision. Reaction screams of impulse, fear, and short-lived gratification. One builds empires, the other destroys them. One leads to mastery, the other to slavery. If you would understand wealth, peace, influence, or greatness, you must study this inner battle. For it is not your enemies who defeat you, it is your uncontrolled reactions. The moment you seize the reins of reflection, you become untouchable, unshaken, and undefeatable. Consider the man who reacts to criticism. Someone insults him, mocks his dream, doubts his ability. He reacts in anger, wasting energy in defense, revenge, or despair. He loses sight of his vision and sinks into small battles that steal his focus. Another man, wiser, reflects before responding. He hears the insult but pauses. He asks himself, does this diminish my worth? Does this change my vision? Is this obstacle worth my attention? In reflection, he sees the truth that criticism is powerless unless he grants it power. So he smiles, continues his work, and in time, his results silence the critics. Reaction would have destroyed him. Reflection propels him. The reactive man is a puppet. Anyone can pull his strings. A harsh word, a setback, a disappointment, and he dances to the tune of circumstance. His emotions belong not to himself, but to others. The reflective man, however, is the master of his emotions. He refuses to be enslaved by the moods of others or the storms of circumstance. He pauses, he reflects, and then he chooses his response. That choice is his strength. That choice is his freedom. The one who reacts is chained. The one who reflects is free. Let us apply this principle to wealth. Reaction is the enemy of fortune. It drives men to spend what they should save, to quit when they should persist, to envy what they should study. A reactive man sees another succeed and says, I must have that now. He rushes, copies, gambles, wastes. Soon he is poorer than before. The reflective man, on the other hand, studies success. He does not react with envy, but reflects with inquiry. What principles did this man apply? What habits brought him here? What can I learn, adapt, and improve? Reflection transforms envy into education, and education into wealth. Reaction is also the thief of opportunity. Opportunities rarely come labeled. They come disguised as challenges, hard work, or small beginnings. The reactive man sees only the surface. He reacts with dismissal. Too small, too hard, not worth it. He misses the chance. The reflective man sees beyond appearances. He pauses, reflects. Could this seed grow into a tree? Could this hardship forge my strength? Could this door lead to greater doors? While others react with blindness, he reflects with vision. He seizes opportunities others cannot even see. That is why reflection multiplies wealth, while reaction destroys it. But beyond money, consider relationships. Most homes are broken not by fate, but by reaction. Harsh words spoken in haste, anger unleashed in the moment, small conflicts allowed to grow into wars. Reaction fuels division. Reflection fuels unity. A husband reacts to his wife's criticism, and soon their love is poisoned. Another husband reflects. He asks, is this anger about me or about her pain? Should I answer with pride or with patience? Reflection softens his response, and love grows deeper. Reaction divides. Reflection heals. This is not only true in marriage, but in every bond, friendships, partnerships, alliances. Reflection preserves them. Reaction destroys them. The law extends to leadership. The reactive leader governs by panic. When storms rise, he mirrors the fear of his people. He makes decisions in haste, speaks without thought, promises without plan. His people lose trust, and his power crumbles. The reflective leader governs by vision. He does not mirror fear. He absorbs it, reflects upon it, transforms it into steady guidance. His people see his calm and find courage. They trust him, not because he reacts quickly, but because he reflects deeply. Reaction weakens leadership. Reflection strengthens it. Reflection is also the guardian of time. Reaction wastes hours, days, even years. The man who reacts chases distractions, argues with fools, indulges in impulses. He is always busy, but achieves little. The reflective man guards his time as treasure. Before every action, he asks, does this bring me closer to my vision or further away? Does this align with my values or contradict them? Reflection filters out the trivial. Reaction multiplies it. That is why the reflective man, though he may work fewer hours, accomplishes far more. His focus is laser, his steps deliberate, his progress unstoppable. But the deepest secret is this. Reflection gives you mastery over yourself. Wealth, influence, relationships, time, all are merely extensions of this greater victory. The man who reacts lives as a stranger to himself. He is ruled by habits, emotions, impulses he does not understand. He spends his life as a servant to his lower nature. The reflective man confronts himself. He asks, why do I fear? Why do I desire this? Why do I avoid that? He peels back the layers of his own mind until he sees the roots of his behavior. And having seen, he gains power. You cannot master what you do not know. Reflection is the key to self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is the key to self-mastery. Do not confuse reflection with delay. Many men excuse their cowardice as thinking it over. That is not reflection, that is paralysis. True reflection leads to decisive action. The reflective man does not avoid decisions, he clarifies them. He does not hide from action, he refines it. He reflects, then acts with swiftness. His actions strike with precision because they are born from reflection. The reactive man acts first and regrets later. The paralyzed man reflects endlessly and never acts. The master reflects wisely and then acts decisively. This balance is greatness. Reflection must become habit. You cannot wait for crisis to practice it. Begin daily. Rise in the morning and reflect on your purpose. Ask, what must I achieve today? What thoughts will guide me? What reactions must I avoid? At night, reflect again. Ask, what did I learn? What mistakes did I make? How can I improve tomorrow? This daily rhythm of reflection sharpens the mind like a blade. Over time, you will find yourself less reactive, more thoughtful, more powerful. Another practice. Reflect before you speak. Words are seeds. A single sentence can build trust or destroy it, inspire faith or kill it. The reactive man speaks whatever comes to mind, and his words betray him. The reflective man pauses before speaking. He asks, will this word uplift or wound? Will it move me closer to my vision or further away? That pause, though small, transforms his influence. His words carry weight because they are chosen with care. Reflection makes his tongue an instrument of power. Reflect also on your failures. Do not bury them, for buried failures become recurring failures. Study them. Ask, what law did I break? What reaction betrayed me? What reflection did I neglect? Extract the lesson and let failure pay you its tuition. The reactive man sees failure as final. The reflective man sees it as feedback. One is destroyed, the other transformed. That is why reflective men grow stronger with each setback, while reactive men grow weaker. Reflection not only guides you, but elevates you. In stillness, in thought, in quiet examination, you touch higher wisdom. The mind, when reflective, opens to inspiration, to intuition, to the whispers of infinite intelligence. History's greatest discoveries were not born of reaction, but of reflection. Men withdrew into silence, into solitude, into deep thought, and from that stillness, ideas emerged that reshaped the world. Reflection connects you to forces greater than yourself. It aligns you with universal law. So I say to you, force yourself to reflect more, react less. At first, it will feel unnatural. Your impulses will fight you, but persist. With each pause, you grow stronger. With each reflection, you gain mastery. Soon, reflection will become habit, and reaction will lose its grip. Then you will find a new freedom, a new power, a new peace. You will stand calm in the storms of life, steady in the face of challenge, deliberate in the pursuit of vision. You will no longer be a puppet of circumstance, but the commander of it. This, my friend, is the foundation of wealth, of leadership, of greatness. Master reflection, and you master yourself. Master yourself, and you master the world. Force yourself to reflect more, react less, for in that discipline lies the secret of every victory you seek.